Halito Chimchuk. My name is Andrew Thompson. I'm a member, an enrolled member with the Choctaw Nation of Oklahoma. So the Choctaw people are a Mississippian band of Native Americans originally from the Mississippian cultures. So we date back our heritage and our culture and our people 1,000 years ago when the mastodons roamed the southern part of the United States. So in context to that, before there were people, there were dinosaurs. And if you put in the context of mastodons being there, we were hunting and eating mastodons in the Mississippis. We shared those lands with 5 other tribes, with the Cree, the Seminole, the Cherokee, and the Chickasaw. So the Choctaw tradition is a lot different than most traditions because we were introduced to European cultures early. We are considered one of the 5 civilized tribes by the United States government. And when I say civilized tribes, that just means we had a constitution, we had a hierarchy, we had an understanding of government. So when they had those 5 civilized tribes had that easy culmination with also God. And what I mean by God, they had a singular God. So obviously early contact wasn't so hard for the Choctaw people because they did have a one God scenario. So the conversion to Christianity from what the Choctaws had as a singular God was very easily transitioned. So the Choctaws now in 2020 now live in both Mississippi and in Oklahoma. They are a sovereign nation in Oklahoma, and they are called the Choctaw Nation of Oklahoma. Sovereign nation means it's a nation within a nation, and that means that land, that part of what's called the Choctaw Nation, is divided into 10.5 counties that are ran by a Choctaw government. What that means is you have a Choctaw chief who is elected, you have a Choctaw council that is elected, and you have Choctaw people that elect those people. So it's not quite as foreign as one would think than the rest of the world. It's just tribally done. So there's no walls, there's no fences, there's no gates that allow anyone to come in and out of the Choctaw Nation. Actually, the Choctaw Nation has 75% Native and 25% non-Native living within the borders of the Choctaw Nation. So with that said, there's a good kinship with natives and non-natives in that area. Now, as far as values go, the Choctaws have a very, very defined statement, and their statement is faith, family, culture. Those are the 3 pillars of the Choctaw Nation. Faith, family, culture, and it goes in that order. Choctaws wore diamond patterns to brim their aprons. In cotton. So everything was brimmed with a diamond pattern. Choctaw men would wear the same thing, and we really liked color. We really liked color and diamond patterns. So it was black slacks, black shoes. Women wore a variety of colors, mainly pastel, blues, pinks, whites. A regular marriage would have been, the Choctaw wears for women would have been just as closely related to a Christian wedding, minus a few couple details. So women run the house, women run the tribe. They still do today. They ran it then and they run it now. You can't do anything without your mother's permission. I'm 37 and she still runs mine. So we are a matriarchal society of people. We believe in that. We always have. We never have shied away from that. We honor our elders. We honor our female elders among everything. They're the givers of life, and just like the drum, they are everything to us. So when we talk about an aunt, a family friend, a family female friend, it's Choctaw. It's just like you're talking to your mother. You would extend the same respect that you would give your mother to even a stranger, a female stranger. So going back to that wedding part, the women would wear something very similar to what they always wore. It would just be white, a simple dress, a simple cotton dress with maybe some designs of diamonds. But the men would do something very uniquely Choctaw too. So the men would wear a colored shirt with their hat because they're in Mississippi and it's hot. Their brims were actually really out, so they stood out. What they would do during a wedding is, culturally, we would tack into our belt lines ribbons. So we would find these colored ribbons and we would put those into our pants. Now, we would think of it today as the man chasing the woman. In Choctaw tradition, the woman chased down the man. And if she caught him, they were to be wed. Obviously, it was predetermined. It was already arranged that it was love. It wasn't, we're marrying you to you. But that act would have been in a field. That wedding would have been taken in a field where they would come together, just like we're sitting today, just outside, and knowing that the elders would be in the front, and when it's time to get married, the man would run. It's his final chance. It's his final chance. He only gets one chance. It's either now or never. But the one thing is, if she gets a hold of his ribbon, they're now man and wife. And that's how a Choctaw wedding would be. Some still practice that today. It's just a lot more fun.
Wow, that's amazing. That sounds like the best game of flag football ever.
Yeah, that's and literally if you watched it on YouTube,
yeah,
just look up Choctaw wedding. It's like a football game. She's in a wedding dress, literally running for him.
Sprinting, dashing.
Yeah, like he falls. They wrestle. They do this very this give and take of laughter, and that's what starts off their beautiful lives together. Back then, a lot of Choctaw people were farmers. So you had the farms being tilled by the men, being tended to by the men, and you had this really important job, which was to be a mother, to be a creator of life. And that's where that balance is for Choctaw people, which is, we're very proud of our women, because not only are our women mothers, they're also warriors. We have never shied away. Our women have never shied away from a good fight and a good battle. Back in the day, before there was rifles and that kind of warfare, our women would join our men in protection of society. So if there was ever a conflict between nations, our women were just as fierce as our men. I would venture to say that that's a good start for a nation. So feathers for me, or at least for most natives, it's a pivotal point in our lives. So we go from child to adult, and we keep those feathers. And we keep those feathers very sacred. So it's a rite of passage to have feathers. These hawk feathers would be given to a graduating child for their recognition. So I guess in at least our culminating culture, that would be an equivalency of a piece of paper that's saying that you graduated. But when you get to become an adult, you start doing adult things like graduating high school, graduating college, graduating the military, retirements, weddings, significant times in your life, you're given bald eagle and or golden eagle feathers. So I think that at least with me and my feathers, every aspect of my life can be traced to a time and a place and a feather. In a world where things are expendable and thrown away and or seen with English letters, we still do things with what the Creator gave us. So the Creator gave us the bald eagle because the bald eagle carries our prayers. The bald eagle flies the highest to heaven. They're not just items, like it's not just feathers. They're our grandmother, they're our grandfather, they're our first grade graduation, they're times in our lives, they're the death of a loved one. They're a constant remembrance of a prayer and a thought and a good deed and a good action. This is what I dance with. So this has always danced with me. One, I'm a veteran. I'm also an injured veteran, so I'm a disabled veteran. So it matches a cane when I need it, and it also matches a dance stick. So with this guy right here, I purposely put hawk feathers with hawk feathers. So they're very much different. And mainly a lot of these were gifted to me, and a lot of them, most feathers are gifted from other natives. And then you have the eagle feathers at the very top. So you have the eagle feathers, the eagle white feathers. So this white on an eagle feather means that it's a mature feather. They may look kind of tattered. They may look kind of worn, but they mean so much more than just a worn out feather. So you'll see that it's also wrapped with sweetgrass. And sweetgrass is pretty much our way of cleansing things. We burn it, we decorate it, we adorn it with certain aspects. So this, my dance stick, is not a weapon or a shield or some people do, but because I am a veteran, I will not dance with a weapon in my hand. So we're just going to explain a quick part of the beading. So most everything here was beaded by me or another native or, like you said, an elder. A lot of the adornment on most regalias are done by the person. Those are actually bald eagle bone feathers, and then it's adorned and beautified with beads. So it still means something because that was my first bird. So if you ever get it, so these are traditional Choctaw patterns, and they're infinity patterns. So they show you your life. So you start off, and it's kind of like an infinity. So it never stops, but it keeps going back and forth. And then the diamonds will always be somewhere. Quick dance lessons. And don't hold me to it because, so I'm not wearing the right anything for this, but basically you're gonna have your staff, your hand stick, and your fan. And my fan is a golden eagle fan, so that's where my prayers go up. So you'll listen to the drum because that's what we're actually dancing to. The voices are just words. So whenever you hear that beat, that means one foot has to be touching the ground. So when it goes into a beat like this, so this helps in a way because you get to also give yourself some free wind. So when you're dancing outside and it's hot, you're easily done. Now this is always a two-step, so this is your two-step song. And what's really kind of cool about this is we can't dance backwards. We can't go backwards. We can't go, there's a lot of detail to dancing. So when you hear the beat, just make sure you're on the beat. Now this isn't generic to anybody. Anybody can learn. We invite people to learn. Most powwows are open to people actually participating. That would be called a intertribal dance. So if you're ever at a powwow, don't be afraid to get out there and try it. I did when I was small, and it looked like this. So it's evolved, obviously. When you get your regalia on, it looks a whole lot different. But you get to play around with the beat, and if it feels right, you're doing it right. So that's pretty much how we do a two-step, and there's a plethora of dances for both male and female dancers. Women dance totally different than men. And with men's dancing, there's 5 different kinds of dancing. I dance men's northern traditional. So I invite you to YouTube, Google, check out powwow dancing. It's a great way to learn about somebody else's culture. Even though you may or not be a part of that culture, you're still open to learn. Yokiko, that's thank you in Choctaw, and it's a pleasure talking to you.